right. That wasn't so hard, was it?
That was a piece of cake, man.
That was easy. We can be done now.
Ain't screwed it up yet.
Yeah, no, 30 seconds in, but 10 seconds in actually after the countdown. But we'll give everybody maybe another 10, 15 seconds to just see that we're live before we actually introduce ourselves and what we're doing here, right?
Heck yeah, man. Sounds good to me. Hopefully we got some people jumping on. I saw you put a post up on LinkedIn yesterday that was gaining some traction. So appreciate you spreading the word there.
Yeah, almost simultaneously with the one that Charlie put up. So it worked out
Yeah.
really, really, really well. And that one got a lot of engagement too.
I did see that.
I don't want to say you're welcome, but
But you're welcome.
No, I'm excited, man. I think we're going to be able to do some real good things here.
Yeah, well, sometimes all you got to do is something, and the rest of it works itself out. So I appreciate you signing up and helping push us forward, bro.
Hell yeah, that's the story of my life, man. Do something.
That's right. Me too.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready, bro.
All right. Let's get it going here. So, welcome everybody. This is live, so we take no responsibility whatsoever for the things that come out of our mouths. No, I'm just kidding. As a lot of you know out there, we have revamped the CFESA podcast, renamed the CFESA podcast to Service Hero Toolbox. We're going to be bringing you some awesome value, hopefully, throughout that. I'm going to give a big shout out to the YPC committee for coming up with that name. All the credit goes to them, and I love it, man. I always wanted to be a hero, and now it's in the title, so I can't complain. Anyway,
I've been a toolbox for years, so now at least we can be a hero.
Good dynamic. See, that's how we landed on this whole thing. But anyway, listen, we're not going to, we don't want to bore anybody out there. We're going to go through a couple of things today, do some introductions as to who we are, why it's us that you're hearing from, the purpose of this podcast, what we're going to be doing with it. And then we'll close with a couple of cool stories from what it is that we do and have been doing over the past few years. So without further ado, Nick, man, you want to go ahead and, for those who don't know who the hell you are out there, go ahead and tell them.
Yeah, sweet. So my name is Nick Cribb. I'm your elected president of CFESA. Very happy to be able to say that. It means a lot to me that I didn't wait in line for that, but that the membership said that, Nick, not only are you the guy, but we need your help. So I intend to go to work, and me and Zolin just jumped off of our monthly board of directors call right before jumping on today, and we were doing just that, getting stuff done. And would like to give a shout out to Mr. Kirby Mallon, our immediate past president. He did a fantastic job with the previous podcast. I just one of our core values here at Sam Service is to know your limitations, and I did not see where I could uphold hosting a podcast as well as he did. So I called in Mr. Zolin, who's got a presence and a name out there in these streets, and asked him for some help. And that's how we're here. And I'm grateful to be a part of this, representing from down here in South Georgia. Very different from where Mr. Zolin is sitting, but through technology, we can jump on and share our thoughts about the world we live in. So that's my download, brother.
Oh man, interesting. That's awesome. One more thing, man. What are you hoping to bring to this show?
So everybody knows that one of my reasons for existing is I really have a desire to want to be the most honest version of myself. So as I deal with things that are popping up in my day-to-day life at Sam Service, and as I deal with things that are popping up in my day-to-day life as president of CFESA, I want to be able to engage and share those things and see if there's any value add that somebody can get from it just by being transparent. And then I'm honestly hoping to learn a lot from you, Zolin, and whatever guest we have on. So it should be pretty cool.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. And for the record, all those things you just listed are why I agreed to do the show in the first place.
Nice.
So I think we're going to be okay. As for me, for those who don't know who I am, I do, as Nick said, I have some experience podcasting. I've done it before. I've done it for quite a while, 134 episodes deep on my other one. I know I'm not going to plug anything. Don't worry, CFESA, Heather, I know you're watching, But listen, this industry is one of those that people have heard me say this before. I fell into by accident, but I stayed on purpose, right? I was in my former life, I was a stuntman, for the film industry. People still think that's cool. I went from getting lit on fire to putting them out, but it was an interesting journey. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. If you're interested in how I actually got here, feel free to reach out to me. I am an open book. But I did land in this industry about 14 years ago. Worked alongside my dad, who will be the first to tell you he's a technician through and through. He trained me as a technician. That is how I started in this business. Worked my way up. Believe me, I was not riding any coattails. He is very old school, and I had to earn everything every step of the way, which I appreciate now and didn't so much then. But long story short, this industry saved my life, and I love where I am today. I've realized a lot of success in just this particular industry. I'm grateful to be a part of CFESA and the association that shares those same values and wants everyone else to see that it's possible for them too. So, and as far as what I can bring to the show, I just hope to ask some good questions, engage in some good conversation, and help everybody out there learn and take what this association has internally and cascade it across the industry, whether or not you're in CFESA, to bring that value and show what we can really do. For lack of a better term, I want the rubber to meet the road, man, and really just take off. That's my intent.
Yeah, heck yeah. No, that's great, man. Really, really, really grateful that you signed up to jump on with us. And I think that bringing some good guests on later, and with your experience that you have, and then me being able to just kind of keep it stirred up and maybe drop a joke every now and then to make it worth everybody's while. I'm looking forward to it.
No, I think that'll be a very good dynamic. And listen, that's one of the things that we want. We want this podcast to portray, right? Is we definitely want it to be educational. We definitely want it to be informative. We want to bring on industry experts, subject matter experts, to really create that value for members and service business owners. But we also have to interject that element of humor, right, and entertainment, because let's be honest. I mean, that's how I learn best, right? Is when I'm captivated and paying attention. Otherwise, without it, I fall asleep. I'm not trying to put everybody out there to sleep, man. Not right now. So anyway, listen, let's go down and kind of just give everyone an overview of the purpose of the podcast, and really let them know why they should be tuning in, right? So we already said we're going to bring on some subject matter experts for popular industry topics. Right, we want business tactics, we want service tactics, we want technician advice, we want all these things that can make our businesses better. You know what I mean? What else can we do, Nick, to empower owners to run successful service businesses?
Yeah, so I think another very obvious thing that we can do, me and Josh are both on the board, right? So we're discussing high level things and issues that are arising in our particular sector of this industry, commercial food equipment and service. And we can do our best to cherry pick items out of that we need to share with you, things that we might have voted on or that we're having an open discussion about, that might lead to feedback from you guys out there within our association, or even the world at large, to give input to us that we can then carry back to our board to communicate and discuss those things as well. So, one of my favorite things to say is a rising tide raises all ships. So, I mean, if we're all out there with a desire to get better, whether we're speaking or whether we're listening, I think that just being engaged is going to get us to where we want to be.
Absolutely. An open platform. And with that being said, Nick, I want to make it clear to everybody out there listening or watching or however you're absorbing this podcast, we're going to rely on you, right? We're going to rely on you a lot to give us the feedback that we need to not only tell us if we're headed in the right direction or if we're doing good or not doing good by your perspective, but to offer opinions and engaging topics that you want to hear, right? Give us some ideas, give us some direction, help us make this show valuable for you. Right. And I think that can be very, very important moving forward. We're not going to be doing a whole lot live. We might, jump on a couple of live episodes over the next couple of years or so. But primarily, it is going to be a public facing podcast that you'll be able to find on all the popular podcast platforms, right? Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I think it'll be on. We'll get it on the YouTube channel, CFESA's YouTube channel. Obviously, you'll see LinkedIn. Hopefully, I know Charlie's listening backstage. He's going to be like, why are you promising things? But I hope that he can cut up some clips, right, and put it out there of some, maybe nuggets of information that we come across for all of these episodes, and we're talking to these people, and so maybe you don't have time to listen to a whole 30-minute show or 45-minute show, however long it is, but you got time to listen to a 1 or 2 minute clip that we can post on some of these platforms and really utilize this technology that we have in front of us today. So, all right, good. Another thing I think we want to do that everybody out there knows that we're both passionate about this, Nick, right? Is being able to raise the awareness to the opportunities and the successes that are available to us in our industry, right? And Nick, maybe if you could, right, you don't have to share your entire story, but kind of maybe give the audience, those who don't know, an idea of how you found success in this industry.
Yeah, man. So I hit rock bottom in my life about 12 or 13 years ago, and came to a point where I had to decide if I was going to be a winner, if I was going to be a loser. And I decided to be a winner, and to fight for greatness, and to just try to ultimately become the best version of myself. And I found myself at this company called SAM. I'll be celebrating 10 years at SAM Service this upcoming April, on April Fool's Day, and it's kind of poetic in a way. But I started at SAM Service as a dispatcher, making $10 an hour. I mean, we had like 4 techs. 2 of them quit the first week that I was there. I had a bookkeeper, and Jim and Alan were here. We were just trying to make something out of nothing. And we fought and we clawed, and we hired people and we fired people, and we found good customer relationships, and we lost good customer relationships. And about 8 years ago, we ran across CFESA. Honestly, Alan Allagood, our CFO now, one of the founding partners of SAM Service, he had always paid for the membership so that we could be like a voting member or whatever, and like we would get the emails and stuff. But me and Jim didn't know much about it. And once he kind of tasked us with learning more, we said, hey man, we need to go to Anaheim. We need to meet these people. We know that we can add value to our organization through relationships that we make, and also practically through the training that they offer. I mean, they offer management training, mid-level. They offer ownership training, the hot side, the ice machine training that's going to be going on next week up there, refrigeration. There's all these cool things that they offer that we just wanted to lean into. And when I got there, I saw that there was opportunity to not only get a whole bunch of stuff from CFESA that I could help Sam with, but there might be some stuff that I could give CFESA, a fresher perspective. I noticed that there weren't a lot of people my age that were very engaged, and I am the most extroverted extrovert that you will ever meet in your life. So, I mean, I run into a room and I see 1,000 people, and I task myself with knowing 150 of them before I leave, or at least 50 of them need to know who the hell I am. So through that engagement and involvement and being a part of CFESA and learning and growing at SAM Service, it's really enabled me to have a career that I never imagined. I sit here today as the president of SAM Service with over 60 employees. We're in 3 markets. We've got a specialties projects division that goes all over the continental United States. Elected president of CFESA, and all that started from $10 an hour in the trades, man. You know what I mean? A guy answering the phones and asking technicians to go fix stuff. And so if you're hearing anything that I'm saying, that there's opportunity, there's opportunity in this field, and not just turning wrenches, but also as a businessman or businesswoman.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Thanks for that. And I mean, I share the same passion, and I think, to expand on what you just said, these opportunities are available to everybody who's interested, right? And I've heard so many stories about how the skilled trades, and even this industry in particular, have given people purpose, given people direction, given people a path who previously thought they had no path. Right. And it's amazing. And this is the kind of stuff that we need to put on a pedestal. This is the kind of stuff that we need to talk about, right? Because all I hear from a lot of people in the industry is, well, we can't find good people, or, there's, our businesses can't grow. Nobody wants to work. We've all heard this, right? Well, listen, I'm a big accountability buff. I know you are too, Nick. And sometimes we got to look in the mirror and say, what the hell are we doing to make sure we're pushing this industry forward, right? Which is a big purpose of this podcast. So thank you for sharing
Word.
that. I really appreciate that. I think that's going to make a lot of impact on people.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Happy to share.
So then finally, the last purpose of the podcast is, I think you touched on it a little bit, right? To showcase CFESA's value to their end users, right? And look, listen, and I've been a very vocal about this in the past too. And CFESA's got a lot of value to add, right? And sometimes that value fails to cascade across, all of the members, and not to the fault of CFESA in particular. It's just, listen, we're all learning, right? We're all trying to figure out how to best do that, especially in this day and age. Now we have these tools that we can leverage, like the one we're using right now, in order to do that. So taking these steps forward, we want to make sure we do a few things. There are a lot of smart people in CFESA. There are a lot of smart people who run great companies, and we want to leverage those people and their expertise to better the entire CFESA community. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And, obviously, we just talked about this in the board meeting too. We've got the scholarships that we're offering, and special programs to promote those, which is a huge value add to the CFESA members, and even those who aren't part of CFESA who are interested in coming into this line of work. What else, man? What am I missing?
Yeah, so I mean, even as something as simple as the membership dashboard on our website, you can go to that right now and log in. If you don't know your login or you're unfamiliar with it, I would encourage you to reach out to the staff that we have at CFESA headquarters. They're there right now, East Coast time, live, ready, willing to help you and show you how to get to that dashboard. And there's documents there, right? There's dispatcher training. There's like a 60 slide PowerPoint that you could, if you're onboarding a dispatcher, it gives you a flyover of the type of equipment that is in this field that they can expect to see, the terminology that's used to describe different pieces of it, the skill set of the technician that you're going to want to send on that call. It also describes different manufacturers on how, it might work this way with X manufacturer and this way with B manufacturer. There's also templates, many templates, if you're looking for to write a PM contract with a grocery store. You can get on that membership template, or not template, but the website right now, log in, and you should be able to see various versions of contracts that you can grab, download, and make your own. There's value that can be added right now at your fingertips, and a lot of people just don't know. Another thing that I would say is it only works if you work it, right? I mean, it sounds really cool when you hear ice machine training. And you, as a member of CFESA, can say, man, I'm really happy to be a part of an association that does that. That's really cool that they're representing those 4 brands. But what I would ask is, are you sending anybody to the class? Some point, you got to sign somebody up. I mean, at some point, I mean, and it's gonna cost you money. It's gonna cost you lost revenue, right? I mean, everybody gets it that, yeah, it's not just the X amount that CFESA charges to teach the class. It's the 40 hours I'm not going to be able to bill for that technician. And I would argue that you're going to get a better return if that technician is constantly learning and growing and building his own relationships through the experience of travel and networking at these events. I mean, they are working with like-minded men and women who are going to be going working on the same things they are. And it just does something to you whenever you realize you're not just somebody alone in an office or somebody alone in a van somewhere. There's other people attacking the day just like you are. But again, it only works if you work it. And you got to lean into this stuff, and you got to sign these people up for the class, or you got to task somebody with, hey, call CFESA headquarters right now today, find out how I can get that dispatcher PowerPoint. I want it in my inbox for the end of the day. There's somebody within your organization that can get that done for you. And that's another thing we want to do, is just highlight those things that we already have that we can get in front of you.
Absolutely. And with that being said, Charlie, I know you're listening on the back end. That was at 17 minutes. I want you to clip that out and post Nick's face everywhere with the caption, "It only works if you work it," because that was awesome. And you know what I mean? It's something that everybody needs to know, and that's exactly the purpose that we're doing this podcast, right? Is for information like that. That's inspirational. That's something that people innately know but need to be reminded of. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes you got to point people to the practical. We live in an emotional world, and we're putting out fires. To your point, Zolin, every day we're putting out fires, and we can get yanked away from the practical, obvious logical things that success looks like. It's just disciplines, and you got to lean into them. And that's what we want to. That's what we want to do on this podcast, is point you towards those.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. So listen, we covered a lot of why somebody should add this to their show. I know I got that on my outline here, so we're going to kind of skip over that right now as we're at about 20 minutes. But I do have one question for you, Nick, that isn't on the script. So you're welcome. You did this. Remember that.
Hey.
But listen, I was at the annual conference, in Nashville, and I saw you get elected, and I saw how much it meant to you just by looking in your eyes, being able to say that you are now the president of CFESA. And I'd like you to tell our audience out there exactly what you intend to do with that title.
Yeah, so I don't intend to just put it behind my name like you see on this podcast and write it out. I intend to go to work. I get the most joy and fulfillment in my life by achieving things, getting things done, running down trophies, and ultimately hashtag all caps winning. It is what I want to do, and I don't want to do it alone. I believe that a leader is not a leader until he produces other leaders, and I want to pour into my board that I've been elected to humbly lead and empower them in ways where they're good. It's why Zolin's running point on this thing. He's just better at it than I am. It's why when it comes to finances, I'll never probably outweigh the room with my opinions more than Dan Dibler. I mean, the guy's a freaking genius. If he's got something to say, we need to listen to him and empower him, and many other people on the board. But I do want to get together at our first in-person board meeting and for us to climb the tree. Sometimes at CFESA and even in our organizations, we got an axe in our hand and we're just chopping trees. And you're just chopping trees, and at some point you don't even know where the hell you're going anymore. And you got to put the axe down, you got to sharpen it, and then somebody's got to climb the tree and make sure where it is that we want to go, we're actually headed that direction. So I want to climb the tree and say, what does winning look like 2 years from now when I'm no longer the president? And I want to hold us accountable to getting there step by step along the way as best that I can. And I'm not going to come up with that vision alone. I've got a pretty good idea of what I want it to be, but I want buy-in and unity with my board and my executive director, Heather, on that. And I think that we can do it as a team, and I think we can achieve our goals. And sometimes when you do it well enough, you get to that 2-year picture in about 18 months, and you can climb the tree again and say, let's get a little bit more out of this. So I'll be as aggressive and assertive as I can for the membership.
Oh, that's damn right. How's that for transparency, guys? That's the direction of CFESA. Charlie, you got your second clip, bud. Climb the tree. That's the caption. Clip it. No, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. All right, we're gonna move to close this thing out, Nick, so we don't keep everybody out there. I know everyone's busy. We're running on noon,
right,
Eastern time, so we'll close it out. But I want to share each of us one story. Right. One of our favorite industry stories, something that we learned, did, receive, or gave that reinforced our decision to keep moving forward down the road of the food equipment repair path. So I'm going to let you go first on this one. Tell me one thing, one story.
So cool. About 6 years ago, we had a request to do a install in Miramar, Florida. Got it over an email. I immediately committed to it, said, yep, let's do it. I read the scope of work. I said, that's something that we can get done. I sent them over a quote. They approved the quote, sent us the equipment. And then that's when I decided to actually look at the very specific address of where we'd be doing the install. I thought that it was about 3.5 hours south of us in Miramar Beach, Florida. It ended up being about 9 hours south of us, south of Miami, in the wrong Miramar, in the wrong Miramar, Florida. So I got with my project manager and said, you're going to have a little bit longer of a weekend than you expected, because I've already committed to this thing and we got to bulldog it and get it done. And he grabbed the bull by the horns and completed the install and got back. The end user ended up finding out they were wrong like I was. They thought that it was the one closest to our branch as well. And when they found out that we were able to execute that and get it done for them, it led to a lot more work. And they appreciated our gumption and get her done attitude to say, yeah, we thought it was a different location, but we're still going to get it done. And that was very encouraging to me to know that, number one, you better pay attention to the details in this business, because you will be asked a lot, and you better know what you're saying yes to. And number two, when you commit to something, a man's only as good as his word. Sometimes you just got to get it done. And it's been a very fruitful account for us for many, many years now because of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. It's funny. I wrote this outline, Nick, because you put me in charge of this, and I didn't come up with something for this last question. I wrote it down, but I didn't come up with something myself. So I'm doing this completely on the fly. I'm trying to remember, when I first started in the industry, some of the things and some of the, experiences that I had, and I think the one that jumps out at me was, so for a long time, in this industry, when I first got here, I wasn't Josh with Windy City. Right now, I'm Josh with Windy City, and that's not a plug, Heather. That's not a plug. I'm just, this is a story. So listen, for a long time, I was Joel's son. Right, Joel is my dad. Right, and before we had any employees or anything like that, it wasn't called Windy City. It was called Joel, and it took me years to make my own name, right? Because he taught me from the ground up, and so when people would reach out and they would call and they would say, hey, am I talking to Joel or Joel's son? And when I walked through the door, are you Joel's son? That was my life for a very long time, and it used to get under my skin. I was young, I had a little bit of an ego, I got way past that real quick. But I remember one Friday night, we took care of a pizza place here in Phoenix, and they only had one location, but it was a small Italian family. This was their restaurant. This is how they fed their own family, right? By feeding all their families. And they had 2 deck ovens, and one night both ovens went down. This is Friday night, busiest night of the week, right? So they called in, and my dad said, I can't go, but I can send my son. And you could hear the disdain on the other end of the phone. Like, okay, all right, fine. So I walk into the restaurant, and they say, okay, you're Joel's son. Thanks for coming, but we'll see what you can do. Please, I need your help. I can't make any money. So I went over there and found the problem, because my dad trained me really well. Found the problem, was able to fix it up right then and there. And I remember when I was done, it took me less than an hour, but when I was done, they looked me in the eye and they said, Josh with Windy City, thank you for your help. And I was like, oh, I might have just turned a corner.
Yeah.
And at that point I realized that, why I loved what I did and I would continue to do what I did is because I like to serve, right? And I like to hear that thank you at the end of the day. It's validation for me that I'm going in the right direction. And so from that moment on, I knew that this was the industry for me, and I poured my heart and soul, blood, sweat, and tears into everything that I do every day. And I wish the same for everybody else, because I know that they can get the same satisfaction.
It's the day you became a service hero, bro.
That's right. That's right. So
Nailed it.
Nailed it. One day we'll have to hear the story of how you became a toolbox. But until then,
for another day.
Until then, guys, we got some good stuff in store. So definitely stay tuned. Let us know what you want to hear, what you want us to talk about. We're going to do everything in our power to crush this for you, knock it out of the park for the members of CFESA, the potential members of CFESA, and anybody interested in listening. So, Nick, any closing thoughts?
Hey, it only works if you work it.
That's
Get
right.
Somebody on the CFESA website today, please. At least see when the next training opportunities you have available to you are.
Absolutely. Well, Nick, thanks for your time today. Everybody listening and watching, thanks for your time today. Charlie, we're out, bud.
Great job, Josh, with Windy City.